Hi, I'm Jonah Comstock, Editor-in-Chief at PharmaForum. I'm here at ASCO 24 in Chicago, and I'm joined by Scot Ebbinghaus, Vice President of Clinical Research at Merck, and that's the U.S. Merck, not the German Merck.
The U.S. Merck.
So tell me a little bit about, you guys have some exciting stuff here at the conference today, right? Give me the rundown of kind of your top presentations, your top data.
Yeah. Well, we're super happy to be here. We're excited. This is the 10th year anniversary of Keytruda, actually. It's Keytruda's first approval. And but I'm going to talk to you about a few things that aren't Keytruda and how we're sort of building on that great foundation. So I'm excited about a lot of things that we have here. But one that I'll start with is V940 or individualized neoantigen therapy. So that is our collaboration with Moderna, and what we're showing on Monday is 3-year follow-up data on the melanoma phase 2 that got us really interested and involved with developing this what we call individualized neoantigen therapy. Now that's a mouthful. We were calling it a personalized cancer vaccine, but we decided to kind of change the name to this little more sophisticated name because it really isn't a vaccine. It's more of a therapy, and it is individualized.
So tell me a little bit about what that is, how it works. You're working with Moderna, obviously, so that suggests there's like an mRNA connection.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Yeah, sure. So it's easiest to explain it if I tell you sort of how it's made. So what we do is we take a biopsy from the patient, or they've had a biopsy to establish the diagnosis of their cancer. You take that biopsy, you sequence it, and then from that sequence, you can predict what mutations in the cancer are going to lead to the production of immunogenic proteins. And we call those neoantigens. And so that's kind of the N in the individualized neoantigen therapy. So it's individualized because every patient's tumor is going to have different mutations, different neoantigens. And so after predicting what neoantigens are likely to be immunogenic in the patient's tumor, Moderna can go back and make an mRNA vaccine that will encode up to 34 of those neoantigens, give it back to us because we're the ones that are executing most of the clinical studies, and then we give it to the patient as a shot in the arm.
So this is a really personalized medicine. This is this isn't just like it's for a small subset, so we're calling it personalized. This is like personalized for each patient.
Exactly.
How do you do that? How do you scale it? How do you make it work?
Yeah, those are great questions, and I'm happy to say that we have an ongoing phase 3 study in melanoma right now, and look forward to future ASCOs where we can show those data. But we're enrolling very well, and we've now, as far as I can tell, got in time, from what we call needle to needle, meaning the first needle is the biopsy, the second needle is the shot back in the arm. Gotten that down to 6 weeks or less in about 90% of patients. That's pretty amazing, actually. And, it's through sort of the magic of scheduling and coordination and a lot of things that we can scale it up for a phase 3 trial that, intends to enroll a total of 1,000 patients in melanoma alone.
And you were saying this kind of builds on the work, the 10th anniversary of Keytruda sort of as an umbrella
so
over
let me bring it back to that. So the trial that we're going to be presenting on Monday is called Keynote 942. And so Keynote 942 looked at patients that had melanoma that was resected, but at very high risk of coming back. So stage 3 melanoma, and particularly a high risk subset of stage 3 melanoma. And Keytruda is the standard of care for that treatment, or one of the standards of care for treating that stage of melanoma to try to prevent the cancer from coming back. So the trial that we're talking about basically took patients and randomized them to either Keytruda alone or Keytruda plus this individualized neoantigen therapy. And what it showed, and we previously reported this, was a nice improvement in relapse-free survival, a nice improvement in what we call distant metastasis-free survival, and that's kind of the intermediate step along the way to looking at overall survival. And so what we're presenting at this ASCO now is a 3-year follow-up. So these are getting to be quite mature data, and that shows us that the treatment effect that we saw is durable and it's lasting a good long time.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I think it's really interesting that you guys, you have this blockbuster. Obviously, you've done a ton with it over the years, but you're still looking for the next thing, looking to stay kind of on the cutting edge and innovate. I mean, do you think that this neoantigen thing do you think it's where it's going, where immunotherapy is going, or just like it's going to be another bullet in the chamber, another?
Yeah, well, I think it's one way where it's going. I don't think it's the only way. I think there are other investigational immunotherapies that are being used in combination with PD-1. I think what my view is that PD-1 was the real kind of breakthrough. So it's now become Keytruda and other anti-PD-1 or anti-PD-L1 drugs have become foundational to the treatment of cancer across many, not all, but most tumor types. And so, the next generation will be combinations of things like INT, like other immunotherapies that can add to that.
You guys also have an ADC that you're presenting data about?
Yeah. We have a number of antibody drug conjugates or ADCs in our portfolio. We actually have 7 of them, and 5 of those 7 are in late stage clinical development. And so we're a very friendly company. We partner a lot, and so 3 of our ADCs are partnered with Daiichi Sankyo, and we have a partnership with a company in China called Kelun. And Kelun has some really nice data here at this ASCO on a TROP2 targeting antibody drug conjugate, and we call it sacituzumab govitecan, or SAC-TMT. And so what Kelun is presenting is the first phase 3 data with this compound in breast cancer. And the data show an improvement in progression-free and overall survival in a population that has a really high unmet need. Now, this was a study that was done in China, and so it will support the potential for registration in China. But we view it as a very promising sign that the drug that we've partnered with is a really nice drug, a really good one that works. And so we have now a very large program to investigate this in breast cancer and lung cancer and other tumor types.
Feel free to pass on this one if it's not in your wheelhouse, but is there a worry about, we've got this great collaboration with a Chinese company, that something like biosecure is going to endanger that, or some government intervention is going to keep you from being able to work with them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on biosecure, but I think our sense is that we can get the work done that needs to get done so that we can bring these medicines forward for the benefit of the patients, globally, not just in China, that can benefit from them.
So one question I'm asking everybody at this event for our little quote roundup is about what advice would you give to a young professional just starting out in oncology, especially just starting out in this moment?
Yeah, wow, that's a great question. I view, been in, you can't see, but because I took it off, my name badge, I have a 25-year sticker under it, and I view every stage of my career as a learning opportunity. And I think as long as you can keep learning about new things that are, new, for me, it's drug development, new drugs, new opportunities to treat cancer. That's the advice that I would give a young professional. Keep learning, keep thinking of your entire career as a learning opportunity, and it'll always stay fresh, and you'll benefit your patients more if you do that.
Is that 25 years in oncology, or 25 ASCOs, or
25 years as an ASCO member?
Yeah.
So I started my oncology fellowship a little more than that ago, actually, closer to 30, and. But it's been a great ride.
I'm sure the space has completely transformed in that time, and you wouldn't recognize it. Right?
Oh, it's entirely different. I remember my very first rotation on an oncology ward when I was an intern, and this was in the late '80s. And they would, at that time they were still putting people in the hospital to give regular old chemotherapy because it made people so sick. And so like one of the first real breakthroughs, in my opinion, was supportive care, where you could keep people from getting, so sick from chemotherapy. So the antiemetics and the growth factor support that allowed us to basically take patients that had to be in the hospital for 2 or 3 days and get them out of the hospital so they could get all their treatments in the clinic and that type of thing. So that was a big advance in that late 80s, early 90s. I think the 90s and the early 2000s saw kind of an explosion of targeted therapies that we could, get to patients. And then the 2010s, clearly the decade of the resurgence of immunotherapy. And my crystal ball is always unclear, but my guess is that the decade that we're in right now is the decade of the ADC.
Yeah. And or maybe the next decade, or maybe we're at the beginning of cell and gene therapy, especially for the blood cancers, but maybe for solid tumor, right?
Yeah, that would be very interesting if that transpired, and something to definitely keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely some more challenges to overcome there. Anything else on your mind? Anything you've seen already, or that you're excited about seeing here? A conversation. Tell me about your ASCO.
Yeah, well, we've talked about a couple of the drugs in our pipeline, and we also have a KRAS inhibitor. KRAS is one of the most commonly mutated oncogenes across all cancer types. It's a very popular, hot target right now. There are a lot of people that are searching for it, but we have just launched a phase 3 program combining pembrolizumab with our KRAS inhibitor in non-small cell lung cancer, and so we're pretty excited about that as well.
Yeah, that's a really big space. Obviously, there's a lot of competition there, but a lot of opportunity.
A lot of competition, a lot of opportunity. Well said.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for talking to me, Scott. Really a pleasure.
Yeah.
Congratulations on 10 years of Keytruda and 25 plus years in the space. So
thanks a lot. Thank you.